Take it to trial. Take it to trial. Welcome in, grab a seat, hit the like and subscribe. The Sweet Peas on the mic with that spicy little vibe. Got the courtroom streaming in the chat, going wild. We're debating heavy topics, but still laughing like a child. From objections to confessions to the judge's side eye. If it's justice and it's messy, we gon' talk about why. Every day's a new case, every moment's a ride. And when Sweet Peas in the building, we be learning with pride. Minds on deck, keep the room running smooth. Film freak therapist, you know, keeping everyone in the groove. Like to whip the facts, pretty brown girl with the sass. Morellia and Fowler keep the peace in the chat. But Jason walks in and the ladies collapse. Chocolate, take it to trial, where the truth gets loud and the laughs run wild. Sweet Peas got the spice, she's the queen of the aisle. Chat fam rolling deep, we've been here a while. Lights on, mics up, we gon' do this right. Take it to trial, every day, every night. Take it to trial. Morning shows are sharp, afternoon is on fire. And we catch every moment that the court might inspire. From witnesses whispering, the lawyers trying to hard. You know Sweet Pea breaks it down like a legal tarot card. Chats cracking jokes, dropping theories on the fly. We're serious when it counts, but we still testify. Minds hold it down when the trolls try to play. If you write a line, court adjourned for the day. But when Jason logs in with that deep hello sound, the ladies in the chat, man, they all fall down. Take it, 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 take it to trial, where the truth gets loud and the laughs run wild. Sweet Peas got the spice, she's the queen of the aisle. Chat fam rolling deep, we've been here a while. Lights on, mics up, we gon' do this right. Take it to trial, every day, every night. Take it to trial. When the sun goes down and the cases get deep, after dark gets spicy, no secrets to keep. Taboo topics, big laugh, slap, happy crew. Sweet Pea says behave, but we never really do. It's opinions, confessions, stories untold, but we handle it with heart like the chat made of gold. Hey! Take it to trial, from day to night and every wild mile. Wild mile, Sweet Peas kneeling strong with her trademark style. And the fam in the chat always makes it worthwhile. Turn it up, show some love, hit the like on sight. Take it to trial. Yeah, we live tonight. Take it to trial. Yeah, we live tonight. Take it to trial.
Happy Sunday. Sentencing Sunday is what I'm going to call it just for right now. Since we're going to be taking care of a lot of our sentencing, they decided to go ahead and put Tracey Grist. I know I read to you guys what the sentencing was, but now that they have actually put the actual footage from the hearing, and some, you know, I just read it to you guys. So we'll watch her sentencing Indy and the officer ambush trial. If you guys, and I'll kind of give you a recap of both trials. So I think the first one we will go into is the officer one, because we kind of got an idea about the Tracey one. But let's start off with our hellos. Hello, Susie. Hey, Jason. Hey, SD. Hey, guys. Hey, Martina. How are you? Hey, therapist. Oh, wait. I tell you, you said, I think you said, is it the drop? I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know why. It do sound slow. I haven't done anything to it. So maybe you stoned. You might be stoned. Are you stoned? You could tell us. You might be stoned. She might be stoned. Hey, Jason. Thank you. Hey, Billy. What does GGEZ mean? I don't know. G's? Maybe you just forgot you was stoned? Yeah, maybe you forgot you was stoned. Oh my gosh. Oh, I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. So with the officer ambush trial, we'll go into that sentencing first. Remember, this is Tremaine Jones. He decided that he wanted to go get involved with a girl fight, and he went and hid in the bushes. And as the officers was coming down the alleyway, he ended up pew-pewing one of the officers. Well, both of them were hit, but one of them passed away. And yeah. So he was found guilty. We looked at his trial. This is the one in Detroit, and his sentencing was Friday. So I just wanted to, so we can make sure we complete our chapters in our books on our case studies and our trials. I wanted to make sure you guys were provided the sentencing. And then after that, we will go into Tracey Grist sentencing, so you can hear with what everybody said, including Matthew Rastelli's brother does talk. Yeah, but I figure, so we can complete our collection, right? I don't know. You typing a whole bunch of times in there. You sure you're not stoned? Mm-hmm. Wake and bake Sunday. I don't know. So, hey, lady. So let's go on to our first one. They only about an hour a piece, so you don't got to worry about it. We ain't gonna be here that long. But I wanted to get them done, because tomorrow we'll be in both for our trials, so we won't have time for this. We won't have time for it. So here's our first guy, Tremaine Jackson. I will put that one in here just in case nobody has seen it. Let me see. Tremaine Jones. Why am I calling him Jackson? Sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. I tell you, it's a song that go with everything. I need y'all to know that. Let me see, Tremaine Jones. Oh yeah, and then I gotta give y'all a wait a minute. So let me get this update real quick. So check it. Friday with the thieves. Oh, I was gonna do this as a no, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should update y'all with a bathroom chronicle. I had got busy yesterday after I decided I wasn't gonna stream the Carmelo Anthony thing. Like, they doing too much with that. Like, I don't want no parts of that. I just figured out we got a whole bunch of mean people in this world, and I don't like mean people. And y'all will learn that from me. I don't like mean people. I am not a mean person. I do not kick people when they down, and yeah, I don't want to be part of that. But after I decided I didn't want to be part of that, I should have. I want to do. I'm gonna do a chronicle. I'm gonna make y'all wait. Y'all gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to come. I'm gonna come back later, and I'm gonna go in my bathroom, and I'm gonna give y'all my chronicle, my my update on that. So yeah, I'll wait for that one. Yeah. Ha. Maybe we'll do it after trivia tonight. I'll hook y'all up because y'all know we got trivia tonight. Okay, let's get in here. Let's watch this hearing because I don't want to keep y'all long because I know we on a time schedule because we got other shit to do. All right, here we go. This is the Tremaine one. This up here. I am going to move me here. That's a good place for me. Yeah. And let's get into this.
Great for the state.
Attorney Russ Jones and Attorney Abigail Rupp-Dashel for Mr. Tremaine Jones. He appears in person in custody. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Mr. Jones, I'm glad you're here. We had
1 second.
Okay.
We're ready.
All right. I did go on the record with the parties a little bit earlier after talking with them. You had some concerns about coming to court today for this sentencing. I issued an order, but my deputies said you walked up here, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're here. We are here for sentencing. Obviously, this case was tried beginning March 30th and resulted in guilty verdicts on all 4 charges that were put to the jury. A pre-sentence investigation was prepared. It was filed as of June 4th. Has the state had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Do you have any corrections, deletions, additions, anything?
No.
All right. And on Mr. Jones, on behalf of your client, have you had an opportunity to not only review that yourself, but go over it with Mr. Jones?
I did, Your Honor. I was also able to send a copy to Mr. Jones at the jail.
Okay, good. All right. Any additions, deletions, corrections, anything?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. So I did receive a number of different filings that came in, victim impact statements, letters, things of that sort. I have reviewed those. I understand, Mr. Jones, that you had some question about some paperwork in the jail that you wish to show me. Yes, Mr. Jones, I can see you gesturing.
Right. I might be able to answer it. I have a document here written out by Mr. Tremaine Jones. Right. He recently wrote this out. He thinks it might duplicate that. So I will be sharing that with the court at the appropriate time.
Okay, good. I was going to tell you whatever paperwork it was, you could reference it and talk to me about it. Even if you didn't have a physical copy for me, that wouldn't make a difference to me. You could certainly feel free to talk about it when you do your statement. So, all right. With that, I do believe we are ready to go. We have a very full gallery. I appreciate everybody being here today. Of course, we all have to follow courtroom decorum. I appreciate that everybody will do so. This is obviously a very emotional situation, but I just wanted to remind everyone of that. Thank you so much. Mr. Huebner, on behalf of the state, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. To begin with, the state has notified the victims regarding this case. There are numerous victims. Obviously, we've notified the deceased family, the surviving officer, and the victims. As the court can see, there are a number of people here on behalf of the victim. There is not a restitution request, so restitution can be set at 0. And I would ask that the court find that we have complied with victim rights legislation.
I will find that you have done so.
Thank you. Your Honor, before I begin with my arguments, there are 3 people that would like to speak on behalf of the victim's family. And before that, I would also note that we have filed 2 victim impact statements, one on behalf of District 2 and one on behalf of Officer McCrae. The court did see those.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing, the things that I've reviewed. Yes.
Then with that, Your Honor, the state would like, with the court's permission, to allow 3 people to speak on behalf of the victim.
Absolutely.
First would be Rosalind Corder, the grandmother of the victim.
All right, come on in, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. If you could go ahead and state and spell your name for the record, and then you may make your statement.
Roslyn, Rozlyne, Carter, Corder.
All right, Ms. Carter, what did you want to tell me?
Nothing I say here today will change the fact that Kendall was taken from us through an immature and senseless act. I can share what his hope for you would be. He would pray, so will I, that you will give your life to Jesus Christ. Jesus forgave us, and I forgive you. As far as your sentencing, you chose to take a life. There are consequences for every decision we make. Proverbs 28:17 states, "A man that doeth violence to the blood of any person shall flee to the pit. Let no man stay him." Therefore, I ask the court for the maximum sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming in and making a statement, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Next is Rayanna Corder, the sister of the victim.
Hi.
Hello, Your Honor.
Can you spell your first name for us?
Yes, ma'am. My first name is spelled Rayannna.
Right. What did you want to tell me?
Hi, I just want to thank you for having me. First of all, I was wondering what the first thing I would say to such a coward. And the first thing I want to say to you is that you killed a government official. And one thing about killing a government official, everybody knows, no matter where you come from, that is a very bad thing for you, the consequences. Because everybody play tough. And all the rappers say you to do this. But what they forget is that you sit in the courtroom alone. And everybody that helped you get to this point is not sitting at the table in an orange suit. It is only you. I will proceed now. First, I made you some new nicknames. The first one would be your classic.
Ma'am, I appreciate what you're doing, but you need to direct your comments to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand you're looking at me, but they're not coming for me. I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay. About Kendall, he was a wonderful kid, and he was always tactical, and he always wanted to make a difference in this world. And he did. He saved kids those days because, Your Honor, he was willing to shoot that building up with those babies in there and empty every single last clip that he had in that gun on those children with senseless and recklessness of his thinking. For my dad, you have done him a great deal of hurt. And I want the courts to know that you have hurt that man, that he did not deserve that. That's a good man. And you could have recovered from any trauma that you had. But it's a decision to change your life. Even if you got to fight mentally every day, you can make better decisions no matter where you come from. So your excuses will not be accepted by me. For my son, my son said on July 26, 2025, what brought me to tears, by the way, you shot my uncle. It was devastating and heartbreaking And that was a big loss for us, and my whole family was grieving and probably still is. And my mom cries almost every day, "You are evil." And if somebody did that to one of your family members, you will feel the same way. Probably, I feel you should get 107 years for the death that you did, the deed that you did. And my sister said you should get life in prison. You did a very bad deed and you knew it was a cop. My youngest daughter said go to hell. My second daughter, you get the middle finger. This has affected me financially, $24,000, $629.25 lost. To wear those glasses in court was an insult to my face. To think that all of these experienced people would not see through that and the regular people of the jury. I was very insulted. Your mother will also be taking this sentence with you. How selfish you was to not think about others. You are not going down because you are a Black man. You are going down because of the contents of your character. And Kendall's birthday was on Martin Luther King Day this year. One thing I want to remind you that you did not think of is when you sit in prison, people that you love die. And I hope that one of the most important people to you when they pass, that you cannot attend their funeral, and I hope it rips your heart apart because you forgot that. You know, one thing I think about is how all these people led you. All these people led you to troubled waters for you to drink it by yourself, and then got on the stand. The people that called you to it got on the stand on you. How do you feel about that? Last but not least, me and Kendall used to watch the Ninja Turtles when we was little, and we loved the Ninja Turtles. And when we used to sit there and quote the words, as he would say, the last one, I never thought I'll be sitting in court like this today. But it was, "You dirty rat, you killed my brother. You dirty rat." And the name was Skinner. And that was one of Kendall's favorite parts in the Ninja Turtles. And with that being said, I just want the judge to know that I came up with some calculations. I added up the quarters and I came up with, I wanted to be kind of reasonable because you know I would like 1,000 years. But when I added 25, enough of the quarters that Kendall deal with, I came up with 250 years. When I added the days of the days we were born for me and his nieces and nephews, I came up with 132 years. Because of Kendall being a law enforcement officer and he also injuring Officer McCray and having him go through mental and emotional damage for the rest of his life because he's still alive, I asked that an additional 100 years be added to the 132. This is my recommendation. If I could get 629 years, I would. Do I think that will be fair? Of course, but I think I need to be reasonable. So those are the sentences that I'm asking for, either 250 years or 232 years or 102 years. at the very least, to make an example out of anybody that ever touch a law enforcement officer and kill them and injure them like Officer McCray. Kendall's birthday is 119, and at the least, I ask, please, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, at the least 119 years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lastly, Glenn Kirby Jr., the victim's very good friend.
Hi there.
How's it going?
If you could state and spell your name for the record.
Glenn Gilly, and then last name Kirby, Kirby Jr.
All right, Mr. Kirby, what did you want to tell me?
Man. I wanted to let everyone know who we lost. We lost somebody from the community, the same community that he died in, where he's from, just a few blocks away from where he died, actually. I want everyone to know we lost a mentor. We lost somebody who wanted to do better in the community, see the community grow. We lost a father. I'm sorry, we lost a son to a father. We lost a brother. We lost a grandson. We lost an uncle. Kendall cared about that uniform. I remember when he put that badge on, he never took it off. He always had it under his shirt. He said, being a cop, you never off. He loved that job. He loved serving his community. The thing that's tough that I want everybody to know is just stupidity. I know you said don't talk directly to him, but I want him to know that I feel sorry for him. He killed someone and everyone is hurting, but he also brought so many people together. Kid was honored and still is honored beautifully. He touched so many people. He was a light. He brought so many people together. I want you to know that you had ample time to leave that scene before it even got to that level. You got called to a scene that you probably shouldn't even have got called to, and you still could have left. You know, they say didn't know as a cop, but it's what happened was happened. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not sure how many years you guys want to give him, but I will someday have to forgive you. And I hope you grow while you're inside and try to learn from what you did and help others if you could. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kirby. I'm sorry for your loss.
Your Honor, the defendant was convicted of 4 counts. And when we are attempting to determine an appropriate sentence, we need to take into consideration a number of different factors. We need to take into consideration the character of the defendant, the serious nature of the crime, the need to protect the public, the need to send a message to the public and to the defendant this conduct will not be tolerated, the need to punish the defendant, and need to rehabilitate the defendant. I have read the PSI, as we've talked about, and I do think that one thing that we should at least discuss from the PSI is it is true the defendant has no criminal convictions. The defendant did have that one 2021 operating a motor vehicle without owner's consent passenger that was a successful deferred prosecution agreement that is spelled out in the PSI. What is also in the PSI are a number of other arrests that he had They had, I think, two. I actually went through our referrals, and there were 4 different referrals that had been referred in, 2 for strangulation and 2 for disorderly conduct on January 20th, August 26th, November 16th of 2024, and February 13th of 2025. None of those were issued, and at least with 2 of those are spelled out in the criminal complaint. I read all of the no process notes. It was pretty much from the beginning victim cooperation in every single one of those. The August 26th, November 16th, and February 13th of 2025, the victim in all 3 of those was Janira Jones, who the court will remember.
You just said 25. Do you mean 24?
No, February 13th, 2025.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It was Janira Jones, who the court will remember, is at issue in this case. In fact, as a result of this, the defendant had been kind of pre-flagged as one of those serious domestic violence offenders that they believed that there were lethality factors in play. So while the defendant does not have a criminal record, there at least is a history that we have with Ms. Jones. And that history that we have here in terms of their relationship is unfortunately what led to this horrific, tragic event. We do know that there was a fight between Ms. Jones and Ms. Kittler, which ends up, one fight happens the day before this incident, then the fight happens regarding the beginning of this incident, where there is a Mr. Tyler there who is there to try to prevent women from getting jumped. He wants to keep it a fair fight. Again, and we've talked about, this was mentioned, I think, by both sides at the jury trial. The fact that this is how people are acting in a civilized society is ridiculous, that we're having fights in the middle of the street. Mr. Tyler does not fire his weapon, but the defendant learns about this. And when I read his PSI, he appears to try to blame the fact that this happened and his choices to go over there due to, I believe, the fact that he was under the influence. He was either high or intoxicated or both, and that he says that he got called over there by a girl I was talking to, and there was a guy in the house and this sort of thing. Again, the idea that he finds out that from Ms. Kittler that a guy in this house had a gun and doesn't call 911 or tell her to call 911, that his solution to this is to grab this rifle that he has put together and bring it to this location, is the sort of conduct that is causing way too many deaths in our society. The fact that the defendant thinks that is the appropriate thing to do, to bring a gun and go there. And the court heard the 911 calls, and the court heard from the citizens that lived on that block, even before we even get to the violence that robbed this city of a dedicated public servant. We have the defendant and Ms. Kittler just kind of standing there in the middle of the street, swearing and challenging and threatening. And the defendant, when we saw in that ring video, fires off a round in the air. And I understand that the defendant in his PSI is trying to indicate that he was returning fire or something along those lines. I believe where he says he indicated that he responded by shooting his firearm up in the air, but didn't want to hurt anyone. Again, I do not find the defendant's comments regarding what occurred at all credible. I do not believe that the defendant was there just to simply try to diffuse the situation. You heard him threatening to shoot up the house. You heard that he was threatening violence. You heard he was trying to fight this other man because a man was in the apartment of a woman who had called the cops on him 3 times due to domestic violence and then did not cooperate. This is the epitome of this cycle of power and control and violence that the defendant is attempting to impose his will into a situation. And this time he didn't just make Ms. Kittler or Ms. Jones the victim. He made everyone in that apartment building the victim. He made everybody on that block the victim. And then eventually by killing an officer, he made this entire city a victim in a way that unfortunately we are seeing too often. The defendant's statement to the PSI writer that he heard gunfire, blacked out, and doesn't recall anything, I do not find to be credible. The court can draw its own conclusion. The court heard that jail call. In that jail call, this defendant is describing to a T exactly what someone in that situation was describing. He is describing the manner in which they are walking so closely together. He is describing the manner in which they stand at the alley before coming forward, and then describes it as my reaction was my reaction. This isn't the only jail call in which he discusses it, and he discusses and talks about and states, as we heard, he did not know they were officers. There is conflicting information as to that comes in through this, and quite frankly, as I stated at the trial, it doesn't matter whether or not he knew that they were officers or not. I think it is painfully obvious that they were. What is painfully obvious also is that this defendant stood in that tree line with his backpack off, saw two people, and shot at them 16 times. And because they were wearing body camera, we know exactly what happened. And I think one of the reasons why this case is so traumatizing for people is because while we do have video, when I started, video capturing a homicide was kind of rare. One of the, I guess, improvements in our society is we have security cameras everywhere. People have phones out, there are cameras, Ring doorbells, and almost every homicide we have appears to be caught on camera now. So, as this court has, and Mr. Jones has, and myself, we have seen people die over and over again through the prosecution of these cases. What we don't often see is the point of view of the victim, because oftentimes we're seeing it from a bird eye view or from some other portion. In this case, we literally got to see Officer Corder's last sights before he fell to the ground. And what we know from that is that after Officer Corder fell to the ground and Officer McCrae was running for safety, the defendant continued to fire. And he fired a total of 16 times. So what we have in regards to the character and the seriousness of the offense in regards to the defendant's actions that day is the defendant choosing violence on multiple occasions. I understand that the defendant stated that he had this firearm mainly for home protection, but why is he bringing this rifle to go engage in a fight with someone? One of the problems we have is so many people have guns today, that people that probably would not be engaging in disputes with other people because they don't want to get hurt or lose a fight now think they can win it because they have a bigger gun. And that just causes more escalation and more violence. And in this case, two people who were sworn to just try to protect us pay the price. The defendant chose to sit outside a house and threaten to shoot people. He chooses to fire rounds. He chooses to sit in that tree line, and he takes that gun and he pulls the trigger 16 times. At least one person had fallen to the ground. We know Officer Corder had fallen to the ground, and we know Officer McCrae was running away. There was no threat. He was just shooting. And quite frankly, whether or not he thought it was Brayshawn Tyler, or whether or not he knew it was the police, or whether or not he just thought it was two random people, it is still, as far as count one, life without parole. You cannot get more intentional than what the defendant did there. In terms of the seriousness of the offense, we get that in kind of two different areas. The first area is obviously the defendant's actions and the effect that it had on that block. The next is the effect that it had on the city. Officer Tanner died in September 7th of 1996. We went 22 years before another city of Milwaukee police officer died in June 7th of 2018. During that 22-year period, Milwaukee County did lose 6 officers. There were 3 deputies, 1 TOSA police officer, and 1 special agent with DCI. 6 officers, law enforcement officers, died in the line of duty in 22 years. In the 7 years since Officer Irvine died, the Milwaukee Police Department has lost 6. We lost Officer Irvine, we lost Officer Mikulski, we also lost Officer Brittner, Officer Lentz, Officer Jerving, and Officer Corder. And thank God Officer McCrae was wearing his vest. The thing that strikes me from these cases, and I have handled 3 of them, is when we bring the officers in that have gone through this, Officer McCrae, or specifically this will stake out to me. We watched the body cam with him. That was not easy for him, but it seemed tougher for the officers that were there to support him, because this rips the city apart, because we get to see exactly how Officer Corder died. And what we know about how Officer Corder died is that he died because his job was to look for a person with a gun. The defendant did not have to go to that situation. He could have called 911. He could have done any number of other things rather than take an Uber with a gun that's got 2, and again, for home invasion purposes or home protection, he decides to tape 2 magazines together like you see in a Rambo movie. This is insane. And he sits there and he shoots. Now, Officer Corder hears, and Officer McCrae hear a man talking something about shooting. They're there knowing shots have been fired. It's a totally different situation. They're going to protect. The defendant was going to hurt. And he hurt himself, and he hurt his family, and he destroyed Officer Corder's family, and he hurt Officer McCrae, and he hurt the police department, and he hurt the city. When we consider what the police department has gone through, and it has been a lot lately, that night, the police department, as we know, was swamped, responding to violence after violence after violence. And Officer McCrae and Officer Corder were going outside their district to an area that they were not familiar with from working, basically on their own, and knew that they had to do that because that's what they want to do. And I think that goes to show why this case and the seriousness of this case warrants the maximum sentence on count 1 and the maximum sentence on count 2. Life without parole and 40 years of initial confinement and 20 years of extended supervision consecutive for what he did to Officer Corder. That may be academic, because it is life without parole, but I think it is absolutely warranted. I also do believe that on count 3, when one considers the terror that the families and the victims on that block went through, consecutive time is appropriate. I would recommend 5 years of initial confinement and 5 years of extended supervision for that count. Regarding count 4, the short-barreled rifle, concurrent time, 1 in, 1 out. We can run it concurrent. Really, what's the most important portion of this is the violence that the defendant chose over and over again that night. I ask you to follow my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on. I'm going to try and, this is not my usual courtroom. I'm way shorter than Judge Corvello. I could see that side. I want to be able to see your side as well.
Understood. First of all, there's 351 days credit from the day of arrest through today's date. As the court knows, the seriousness of the crime, the need to protect the community, and the character of the defendant are the pillars of sentencing. Clearly here, the crime and the seriousness of the crime cannot be understated. That's not something that we likely can argue. The need to protect the community here is also paramount. So what's left is the character of the defendant and what to do with them. The court knows that this is a mandatory life sentence. The only question is whether or not we make Mr. Tremaine Jones eligible for extended supervision at any point in his life. That's the only question really for this court. The rest, quite frankly, is academic. And when we look at that, I try and put cases on a spectrum. I try and look at homicides on a spectrum. And I understand for the victims of a homicide, that is unsettling. I understand that that also may seem offensive because no matter what, in any homicide, when I'm representing a defendant, the deceased person is never coming back, and no sentence will make that family whole or the person whole who's been injured. It just can't be done. But that's the mechanism that we are constrained by the law. And when I look at this case, the thing that strikes me, and I think the state hit the nail on the head here, is the lack of criminal record. Now, that doesn't mean somebody that has no record can't commit an egregious crime and can't receive life without parole. Obviously, you can't. But I do think that it is instructive that there is potential for Mr. Tremaine Jones to be reevaluated in the future by a parole board or whatever constitutes the parole board in the future. The minimum that you can order is 20 years. I think somewhere in the range of 50 is probably appropriate. Mr. Tremaine Jones sits here, he's 23 years old. I think in 40 to 50 years, so that puts him at 63 to 73 years old, we should reevaluate whether or not he is worth still holding in a prison. I understand that that might be not satisfying, and life without parole might strike a better chord in terms of sending the message to the community. But I think that when we look at the human being who is Mr. Tremaine Jones sitting to my right, that person will be a vastly different human being in 40 to 50 years, Judge. And all I'm asking this court to do is to evaluate eligibility for release. As the court knows, if it sets that date, he will not be released any sooner than that. He might not get released even at that point. But it is, I think, it behooves us as a society to look at that issue again. And I can say that I'm genuinely struck by the victim impact statement by Officer McCrae and the grandmother of Officer Corder. I'm sorry. It's the French Canadian in me. And the issue is, Judge, that they have probably much bigger hearts and the ability to forgive than I would if I were in their shoes. I am struck by that. And I think that that is amazing. And I think that that type of mindset is what I'm sort of asking the court to employ here is, let's reevaluate in 50 years. Let's look at this gentleman when he's 73 years old or 72 with the credit, somewhere in that range, and say, do we still need to confine him for the balance of whatever his life might be at that point? That's what I'm asking this court to do. I have spoken to Mr. Tremaine Jones. He has asked me to read this statement to the court. He has prepared this statement, and I will conclude my remarks with his statement to the court. I will read it verbatim. Dear Judge, I want to start this letter off by saying I sincerely apologize to you, the courts, the DA, the victims, and the victim's family. On June 26, 2025, the life of Kendall Corder was taken, and Christopher McCrae was also seriously injured in the process. There is not a day that goes by without me thinking, I just wish I could go back in time and change what happened. Although that is not possible, the reality of it is that I pray each and every day that you, the families, and God could someday forgive me for my selfish actions that day. I am not a monster or a violent person. I was highly intoxicated this day, and unfortunately, I let fear and anger cloud my judgment. I will not use my drug abuse as an excuse for my poor behavior and decisions. I am here today to take accountability, apologize, and pray for forgiveness someday for the grief and suffering that my actions have caused. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. As the state mentioned, whenever I sentence anyone, I need to consider three separate things: the gravity of the offense, the protection of the community, and the character of the defendant. Oftentimes, when I look at character, of a defendant, you look at, have you engaged in criminal behavior? If you're 17 and you haven't, that's one thing. If you're 50 and you haven't, it means you've lived your life. You're all the way through. Well, not all the way through, but you don't have a big record. Sometimes it is a big record, even at 17. But it is not merely number or lack of criminal convictions that makes up a person's character. I think chronologically, the way that I approach this, as we had been thinking about this sentence, and of course I've been thinking about this case since it came in, I was actually out of the country when it occurred. I was not here, but received notification of it thousands and thousands of miles away, and knew that the community had been harmed. And I learned that the case was on my docket, and I was going to be presiding over the trial if that's where it ended up. And it did. And I will say, Mr. Jones, we had no problems during your trial. I can't always say that, but I appreciate that we didn't. Defendants who act out during those trials just make it so much more difficult. And you did not do that. And I appreciate that. I was surprised when I heard today that you were not planning to come out of your cell for the sentencing. I'm glad you had a change of heart, because I think it's so important that you heard every word today. Some more difficult than others. As much as things are different between people, there are some similarities. And what I noticed is both Officer Corder's grandmother, she spoke of prayer and forgiveness. When I read Officer McCrae's statement this morning, I was speechless. Without getting into all the details, he talked about his grandmother and how she would forgive you, even if he had been killed, and that she would want him to. So he has. You in your letter spoke of praying to God. Your approach is very different between the two sides, but apparently you're all going to the same source. I just don't know what you could have been thinking. For every step, I said I was going to go chronological. The first thing, apparently you had been put out of Ms. Jones's house because she'd found out about Ms. Kittler, whatever. Then there's a big fight. I don't understand that. But there was literally women fighting over you, physically hitting one another. The next day, we're going to just re-up this. But then you get the call that there's a man there, and apparently in street rules, men shouldn't be at girl fights or some such thing. as ridiculous as that. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but it's ridiculous that there's even a rule. So you pop over with your gun, with the taped together magazines, designed to do maximum damage. And I hear, in my mind, I can hear all the 911 callers. Now, we had the young boy who just was following it and going to post it on social media or something to try and get likes, I think he said during the trial. I'm admittedly older, but that's beyond me. But so he's following, and he's following the group and following what's going to happen. I've got my camera out. I'm going to record all this. But there's the call from the guy who's standing on his porch, almost like a Midwestern dad waiting for the storm to roll in, calling 911 saying, well, I'm watching them. I don't know how that would be a spectator sport. Get in the house. I wanted to scream while he was on the phone. Get in the house. And then there's the mom who's so frantic, screaming at her kids to get away from the damn window. Because that's not a safe place to be. In your own house, not being safe, you held that entire block hostage. All of those people, and I think there's another call that she was just like, he's back. He's here. When are you coming? That entire block could not live their lives that night. I don't know how often that the people on that block can't live their lives, but they couldn't feel free to go out. They couldn't feel free to just lay their heads down and go to sleep because you were holding them hostage. Walking around, flexing your muscle with your big gun. There's the exchange of gunfire, and suddenly someone says the cops are coming, and everybody goes. The kid with the camera keeps following just to see what's going to happen. But holding an entire community, neighborhood in this situation, but an entire community hostage because you think you don't want another man in the house you used to live in, or he went to a girl fight and that's not right, and some code you're living by, that justifies anything. But then you go and you hide just to ambush them. You weren't hiding for your safety, because if you're hiding for your safety, you're small. If you're just going to hide in the bushes, you hide. That's not at all what you did. You had your gun out and you were ready to go. That's not hiding. It's ambushing. They came along and there's been a lot of talk about, I didn't know it was an officer. Well, so? Would it have been justified in your mind? Had it been the kid with the camera, or the guy on his porch, or the mom who came out because she didn't want her kids to get hurt? Even if it had been the guy who'd been in the apartment, would that be okay? No. I will tell you, when I read the pre-sentence investigation, I was dumbstruck that your position for this report was, I don't remember. I blacked out. Because we all listened to the phone call. It may be that you're choosing not to remember. It may be that you couldn't give me the details of that, but that's because you are going to a place in your mind where you don't have to deal with this. But the fact is, you do remember because you talked about it to your mom, trying to justify your behavior. I didn't know it was a cop. You described everything perfectly. It all lines up with the video. There can be nothing more serious than the loss of life. And I look out at the gallery. I see a lot of badges. I even see one person standing out there like this. And the reason I see that is because those vests are so damn uncomfortable. But I have deputies who work with me on a day-to-day basis. And I, of course, have officers who come in and people I get to know and all of that sort of thing. I would like them to wear turtleneck vests with long sleeves and long pants like a suit of armor. They can't because they have to go out and work and move and be able to do stuff. But I look at my deputies and I think, that's just not enough coverage. I would like it even more. Because this gallery is going to go to work tonight or tomorrow. They're going to go out and they're going to answer the calls. They're going to answer the calls that says, we're in danger, please come protect us. Everything I have heard about Officer Corder has been just amazing. I don't have to tell all of you who knew him. What a dedicated, kind, and compassionate person he was, dedicating his life to protecting the community that he loves. Officer McRae has to live with this. Has to live with the fact that it was his friend and partner. He is described in the same way as Officer Corder, giving, caring, a dedicated public servant. They went to the danger. You, Mr. Jones, are the danger. And that is not something that can safely exist in the community. I believe you when you say you wish every day that you could go back. Of course you do. But you cannot. You ambushed them. You hunted them. And that level of dangerousness is just too high. Count one comes with a mandatory life sentence. The other three counts, The legislature requires that I consider whether probation would be appropriate. Of course it is not, but I'm saying the words for the purposes of sentencing. I considered it. I reject it. Conditions of time that you are serving will include absolutely and positively no contact with the families of Kendall Quarter or with Officer Christopher McRae. You do not, according to your pre-sentence investigation, have your high school diploma. I am going to order you to work on that. I don't know if there's any reason that you would be unable to earn that. I didn't speak about, I know you weren't in any special ed classes or anything, so I think it was probably a lack of effort and lack of attendance versus any reason that you couldn't do it. So you will get your high school diploma and any educational or vocational training that you can. It will do you good. It is good to learn. It is good to grow. It will do you good. I will set restitution at 0 per the state's representations. You will have 351 days sentence credit. I'll apportion that in a moment. You will have to pay the DNA surcharge as well as any mandatory costs, fees, and assessments. I'll waive any non-mandatory. I know you're indigent. You're represented through an appointment through the public defender's office. That will be payable from your prison funds at a rate to be determined by the Department of Corrections. You are not eligible for the Challenge Incarceration Program or the Substance Abuse Program. However, those are specialty programs. I am going to order that you have a substance abuse evaluation. You talked at length in your pre-sentence report about your substance abuse issues. You indicate that you were intoxicated that night. I find not credible the blacked out comment, but you may very well have been intoxicated in some way, shape, or form, and that may be something for you to deal with. So I will encourage you, I'm going to order that you have an evaluation and comply with any treatment that is ordered. You may not have any firearms as you are now a convicted felon. You cannot vote until your civil rights are reinstated. You may never possess body armor. If you violate those no contact orders, you could face additional charges. And you do have a right to appeal my sentence, and your attorney will go through those rights with you. As to, I'm going to sentence you on counts 2, 3, and 4 before I get to 1. The state has made their recommendation in terms of what they think is appropriate for the counts 2, 3, and 4. I disagree with their recommendation. I said I was approaching this chronologically. If you had not built that illegal gun, you wouldn't have had it at your disposal. That short-barreled rifle was just illegal, period. If you had not terrorized and held hostage that neighborhood with that gun, you would not be looking at the sentences that you are. And on counts 1 and count 2, it was merely the difference of hitting the vest or not. As Officer Corder's grandmother said, for every action, there has to be a consequence. If not for count 4, then not count 3, then not count 2 and count 1. As such, I will sentence you on count 1 as required by the law to a period of life imprisonment, and I find that you are not eligible for release to extended supervision. On count 2, I sentence you to 60 years in the Wisconsin State Prison, 40 years initial confinement, 20 years extended supervision. On count 3, 17 years, 6 months. In the Wisconsin State Prison, 12 years, 6 months initial confinement, 5 years extended supervision. And on count 4, 6 years in the Wisconsin State Prison, 3 years initial confinement, 3 years extended supervision. I know that it is a distinction without a difference in this situation, but all counts will run consecutively to one another. Because if not for one, then none of the others. I wish you well, Mr. Jones. I am impressed with the family of Officer Corder and with Officer McRae and their grace. I hope that you find peace, as Officer McRae said, and make the most of your time and do in the honor of Officer Corder and in the honor of Officer McRae. You make good use of that time and strive to be a good person and dedicated servant the way they were. Good luck, sir.
I got one.
He not getting out no time school. There y'all coming to place. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Courtroom packed and the cameras on. Folks all whispering won't be long. No more smirks and no more lies. Judge looked down with narrowed eyes. Bailiff waiting by the side door. Steel-toed footsteps on the courtroom floor. Whole chat buzzing like the verdict dropped, but the jury room still got them locked. L-Y-B-B, hear the cell doors locked. No parole boy, baby, round the clock. One-way trip and the bus won't stop. Everybody clap to the L-Y-B-B, L-Y-B-B. No appeal gonna save you. Orange jumpsuit, tailor-made flavor. Sink that feeling when the gavel drop. That's the rhythm of the L-Y-B-B. That's the rhythm of the L-Y-B-B. Mama crying in the second row. Defense still talking, but it's moving slow. State dock receipts and the pressure's steep. Now the whole room barely even breathes. Used to talk big for the TV lights. Now it's long breaks and uneasy nights. Funny how the swagger disappeared before a single word got cleared. L-Y-B-B, hear the cell doors lock. No parole board, baby, round the clock. One-way trip and the bus won't stop. Everybody clap to the L-Y-B-B, L-Y-B-B. No appeal gonna save you. Orange jumpsuit, tailor-made flavor. Sink that L-Y-Bop. The L-Y-Bop. That's the rhythm of the L-Y-Bop. Case pause, courtroom tense. Everybody waiting on the consequence. One deep hush through the parking lot to the beat of the L-Y-Bop.
Okay, so we got one down, one to go. Now, this is Tracey Grist. Y'all know this is the Timu Adelsons. She is the mastermind. She is the head honcho. She is the one that put it all in motion. Mama Gotti, whatever you want to call her, this is her sentencing. I did read to y'all the other day, like the Court TV preview of just like the highlights of it. But since we have the actual sentencing footage, shout out to OnlyFans, he sent it to me. I want to go ahead and kind of like watch the entire hearing. You know, it's one thing when you just see the words, but just kind of like telling my hair falling down. Oh, I didn't pin that well. Well, I got to learn how to pin. We'll figure it out in regards to that. So let's go in here and see. Oh man, oh man. So our next hearing that we got is our Tracey Grist. Let's get in. Oh, Nick.
On behalf of Ms. Grist, I've read those as well. But any errors, mistakes, or admissions you need to bring to my attention with the pre-sentence report, Mr. Facemeyer?
So, Your Honor, I do have one more character letter. I've provided a view for the prosecutors to have it, and I have a hard copy for the court.
Hand it to me, please. That's fine. Thank you. All right, I read that letter as well. Any mistakes with the pre-sentence report that you need to bring to my attention?
Your Honor, I've spoken with my client about the pre-sentence report. She's had an opportunity to review it along with the letters that have been provided associated with it. And she has not requested any changes from that pre-sentence report. Is that accurate?
Excuse me.
The classes that I took in.
Yeah, the report itself.
Oh, no, it's good. I accept it as presented.
So we're good to move forward on the pre-sentence report.
Any mistakes or errors or omissions from the state's perspective?
Not that I observed, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Facemeyer, what else would you like me to know or to take into account?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Anything else you wish me to know? What else would you like me to know?
Am I okay here, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Dana Facemeyer for the defendant, Tracey Grist. Judge, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report, as has my client. My client, Your Honor, wants to know that the pre-sentence report does not indicate some of the things that she's done while at the Utah County Jail, which has been a substantial amount of time. She attempted to enroll in the RISE program, but the RISE, because of her charge, would not let her enroll, but she did attempt to do that. She also attempted, Your Honor, throughout her time at the Utah County Jail to engage herself in as many opportunities, including EDOVO, which is an educational vocational kind of opportunity. It's a 6-week, 6 or 8.
No, those are small classes. The other one is an 8-week class.
Gotcha. So she did engage in all of those, Your Honor, and she also engaged in an 8-week class to continue and help her throughout this case to provide any assistance that would be beneficial for her just as a person while engaged at the Utah County Jail. She did not just sit on her laurels and just let time lapse. She was motivated and proceeded with any opportunities provided. Some were declined because of her charge, but she still did try to effectuate those opportunities that she did. She didn't get the certificates that were available, but she did take the coursework and the time to learn about such things and move forward in that direction. I hope the court understands what I'm trying to explain to you.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're here post-trial. The charges that my client was found guilty was criminal conspiracy, a second degree, murder, a first degree, obstruction, a first degree, domestic in front of a child, third degree, 2 counts. Your Honor, the matrix on this case has her at 252 months. I think given all the circumstances, this court knows the facts of the case as has been presented both by my client and also by the prosecution and also the verdict by the jury. And so we would submit on that matrix request, Your Honor, ask that all counts to be sentenced concurrent with one another. And my client is 61 years old now, Your Honor, just turned 61 a couple weeks ago. And so we would ask for a concurrent sentence, Judge. Any questions, Your Honor?
No, thank you, Mr. Facemeyer. Mr. Watabe.
Your Honor, would the court be willing to hear from several victim representatives?
Well, I think like we've done in the past, I'm willing to hear from the victim's mother and I think one other representative, which is the brother. I've read the other reports.
Okay.
So we'll do it the same way.
Thank
so
you.
yeah, I've assumed that that's what you were planning on again today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of course. Who do you want to have come forward first?
I think we have Mark Slade from first round.
Right. Sir, if you'll come forward. I know we've met, but please give us your name again so the record is clear.
Yeah, too many times. My name is Jonathan Mark Ristelli. Can you need me to spell it?
No, unfortunately I've learned it very well.
Your Honor, I'd like to begin with thanking the court, law enforcement, and everyone who's worked tirelessly to make sure justice was served for what was done to my brother. My name is Jonathan Mark Ristelli. I go by Mark. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, known growing up as the Ristelli boys. Paul is the oldest, and Matt is our middle brother. Today is the 3rd time I stand before this court to deliver a victim's impact statement for my brother, Matthew Clark Ristelli. Just like the first 2 times, I don't want to be here, but I have to be, because Matt no longer has a voice. It was permanently silenced. At Catherine's sentencing, I talked about the Black Widow that trapped my brother in a web of lies and abuse, the Black Widow that slowly injected venom and devoured my brother. At Kevin's sentencing, I talked about brotherhood and betrayal. Matt welcomed Kevin into his family as a brother, and Kevin repaid that trust by shooting him in the back. Today, I want to talk about the source, the root of the poisonous tree, the literal elephant in the room, the demon sitting before this court, the mastermind. But before I get there, let's talk about the fallout. Catherine, Tracey's daughter, pled guilty to murder and testified against you, Tracey, and Kevin. Kevin, Tracey's son, was convicted of murder. And today, Tracey Grist stands before this court convicted of murder. 3 convictions from one man's brutal murder. But that's only the beginning of the fallout. My mother, Diane, buried her son. Paul and I lost our brother. Lucas lost the father that he talked to every day. And then there are the children, Cheyenne and Steele, and Lucas, 3 children who should have had decades to build memories and learn from their father. A father to teach them how to fish, to teach them how to build things, to teach them how to drive, to walk beside them through life's biggest moments. Tracey, you stole that from them. You stole every birthday, every Christmas morning, every camping trip, every fishing trip, every game, every graduation, every father-daughter dance, every hug, every I love you. A grandmother is supposed to protect their grandchildren. Tracey, You destroyed your grandchildren's potential future. But before I talk about you, I want to talk about Matt. Because for weeks, I sat in this courtroom and felt like my brother was the one on trial. I listened to people who twisted who he was. I listened to lies. I listened to stories that tried to make a good man responsible for his own murder. I listened while a man could no longer defend himself, was being attacked by the very people who betrayed him. The Matt I knew wasn't that man. The Matt I knew was kind and loving. Matt loved to build. Matt loved to create. Matt loved the mountains. Matt loved fishing. Matt loved off-roading. He loved fixing things. If something was broken, he found a way to make it work. If someone needed help, he showed up. He was an excellent mechanic with a mind that could solve almost any problem. He was the kind of father that wanted to teach his children everything he knew. The kind of son who was there for his family, especially his mom. The kind of friend who would drop everything if you needed him. Above all else, Matt was loyal. He was loyal to his family. He was loyal to his wife, Catherine, even after she cheated on him several times. He was loyal to the people he loved. Maybe that was Matt's greatest flaw. He believed people when they told him they loved him. He believed Catherine on the final phone call when she said, "I love you too," as he unknowingly drove to his execution, orchestrated by you, Tracey Grist. He believed family meant something. He believed loyalty would be returned with loyalty. He believed the people closest to him would protect him, just as he protected them. Unfortunately, he was wrong. Matt trusted and gave his loyalty to the wrong people, and that loyalty cost him his life. Tracey, the first time I met you was Matt and Catherine's wedding. The first words you said to me before even introducing yourself were, "You know Katie's not a bad person." I've thought about these words for years because after this murder, I don't think the question was ever whether Katie was a bad person. We know she is. She pled guilty to murdering her husband. The question is, where did she learn it? While my brother's life was being dissected in this courtroom, very little was said about Tracey. Very little was said about the lifetime of destruction that came before this murder. The lies, the manipulation, the stealing, the exploiting, the using of friends, the using of family. The fact that you, Tracey, are a prostitute for a living was off limits to talk about during this trial, but nothing was off limits to talk about for my brother. In fact, the day you got arrested for Matt's murder, you were with a John in your so-called massage studio. You also got charged with prostitution that day. This was one of the primary reasons that Matt didn't like you and that you two didn't get along. Because Matt could see who you truly are and the set of drastically flawed morals that you live your life by. Matt figured this all out on the first day after his wedding to your daughter, when the wedding gift money that you were in control of went missing. Tracey, you stole from your daughter and your brand new son-in-law on their wedding day. That is just low. This was just hours after you said to me, "Katie's not a bad person." In comparison to you, I could see how you might think that's true. It's just mind-blowing. At Catherine's sentencing, I talked about how there was a clear pattern of behavior that eventually led to my brother's murder. And it's the same for Tracey. In fact, she learned it from you. And I'm sure that this has been the theme of your life because I have a few examples. Tracey, you lied about abuse so you could secure custody of your children from your ex-husbands. You stole $10,000 of payroll from your ex-husband's truck. You stole $20,000 and a gun from your best friend, Terry Lynn, all while prostituting yourselves for Johns on a daily basis. Now that it's all in the open, I'm going to read some direct quotes from your daughter, Tara Lynn, in a message she wrote to you. She wrote, "You planned somebody's murder. Katie and Kevin would have never come up with this on their own." She wrote, "You've used and abused almost every single person you've known." And perhaps the line that struck me the most, she wrote, "I thought we were safe because we are your kids. I am so sad that I was wrong." Those are not my words. Those are your daughter, Tara Lynn's words. Now she sees exactly what Matt saw for years. A woman who poisons everything she touches, a woman who creates chaos and then calls herself a victim, a woman who spent a lifetime controlling, lying, exploiting, manipulating, and using people until one final lie became murder. One lie at a time. That is your own daughter's description. One lie at a time. And eventually, those lies ended up with my brother being shot in the back, directly below where his children are sleeping. The damage didn't end with Matt. Kelly and I have already started living the future that was stolen from him. Our home is different. Our family is different. Our children's lives are different. We now have 4 kids under one roof because Matt can no longer raise 2 of his own. We have become the people they cry to, the people they lean on, the people who answer impossible questions, the people that have to explain why their dad isn't coming home and why their mom, their uncle, and their grandmother are in prison. They know what you did. That's right, Tracey. They know. They found out at school. Other kids talking about what Kevin did, saying things no child should ever have to hear about their father, about how Kevin shot him. When they came home confused and trying to make sense of it, I remember Cheyenne saying, "Kevin, I only know Uncle Kevin, and he would never hurt my dad." After hearing that, I had to tell them the truth, that Kevin shot their father in the back and killed him, and that their grandmother, Tracey, was the one who planned it all. They are 5 and 8 years old. You stole a lifetime of memories from them and placed a scarlet letter on their back that will follow them the rest of their lives. Last year, I took Cheyenne to the father-daughter dance. I took her again this year. I'll take her next year and the year after that. Someday, I'll be the one that walks her down the aisle and teaches her to love and care for her husband, unlike her arachnid mother and her demon grandmother. But every one of those moments that I step in for should belong to Matt. You stole that from Matt, Cheyenne, Steele, Lucas, and countless others. No matter how much Kelly and I give these kids, we cannot give them their father back. We cannot give them the same love that Matt would have for them. This is what you stole from them, Tracey. You didn't just murder my brother. You changed the course of 2 families and countless other people forever. You took a father from his children. You took a son from his mother. You took a brother from Paul and I. At Catherine's sentencing, I called your family a family of black widows. At Kevin's sentencing, I called you poisoned apples from the same tree. Now I understand something else. Black widows don't create themselves. Poison doesn't appear out of nowhere. It comes from somewhere. And that somewhere is the demon sitting before this court. So let me be clear. There is no forgiveness, Tracey. There is no excuse. There is no alternate version of events. 3 people were convicted, and several more of your children are lucky that they weren't charged with this murder as well, because you used everyone around you as tools, and one good man had to pay the price. In the name of my brother, Matthew Clark Rastelli, a devout father, a loyal brother, and my best friend, a man who would have done anything for his family, I ask the court to impose the maximum sentence possible. Tracey is a demon who poisoned her own family, and through them, she murdered mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Risto. Mr. Watawi.
State would have Diane Rastelli speak.
I'm glad we watched because I didn't know.
I know we've met several times. If you'd once again put your name on the record so it's clear, please.
Okay, I'm Diane Rastelli,
Thank you.
mother of Matt Rastelli. This is my last of 3 victim impact statements that I will give to the court today. I want to thank you, Judge Roger Griffin, the prosecution team, the victim coordinator, their support staff, the American Port Police Department, Detective Nordine, and other court members. The timely and due diligent effort by all of you in bringing this terrible case to closure was graciously welcomed. Thank you all. Why I'm really here today is to give my victim impact statement, to express my thoughts to you, Tracey Grist, regarding the death of my son, Matt Rastelli. Tracey, on July 12, 2024, in a conspiracy plan, with the assistance of your daughter, Kate, and son, Kevin, as well as other family members, my son was lured to your home in American Fork, Utah, where you, Kevin, and Kate savagely carried out the plan to murder my son. You believe the lies that your daughter, Kate, and other involved family members falsely generated about Matt. Matt was not perfect, I do know that. But you are aware of the type of person Kate could be: lying, lazy, jealous, easily angered, and drug intoxicated. Yet you still carried out this conspiracy plan in the hopes of eliminating Matt to assist you in avoiding custody issues for Kate, as deducted from these trials and past experience. Tracey, you have been very vocal in wanting to eliminate Matt by your own ongoing threats to him. Matt was the protector of his family, and you and your daughter, Kate, were the instigators in causing trouble. Matt only wanted to keep his family safe from your conniving and evil ways. He was so right in this regard, and it cost him his life. Kate always felt that she did not get the attention that she needed from you, Tracey. She longed to belong and feel that she mattered, not be overlooked. You did not give her what she needed, but kept pulling her back into your clutches and spewing hatred for Matt. Every time you visited their home, you caused trouble. Maybe the fact that you have had several divorces states the obvious. Mixing in all of this, you were a hindrance to their marriage. Tracey, you know that in a heartbeat, Kate could change the atmosphere in the room and would put everyone on notice to watch out. I am sure you witnessed this in your home too many times to count before Matt's murder. Still, you continue to carry out your plan, not considering what Kate was telling you to get your attention. Was it the truth or the version that you wanted to hear? Matt knew who you really were: a thief, a liar, a splitter, a backstabber, an illegal business operator, to name a few of your adverse qualities. The past has now caught up with you, and now you will serve the consequences. Tracey, you betrayed me as a mother. In the past, we have spoken and shared insights about the family. Yet you have lied to me many times about your involvement before and after this murderous act. I do not think that you have a fully functional conscience, and you are morally bankrupt. This is evident by your calloused actions. You lied repeatedly to me. Yes, you have betrayed me as a mother to mother. How despicable and heartless you have been to me. You will never know how much hurt you have caused. Just this past week, Cheyenne, now 8 years old, said she does not remember what her mother looked like and asked to see pictures of her. How painful this may be for her, her brother Steele, now 5 years old, to have lost their father, mother, home, family, friends, school, and toys. They had to start anew because of your horrific action to my family and yours. You are a selfish individual to have sacrificed your family and mine. I can only imagine what was going on through Matt's mind as your son, Kevin, who you convinced to do this heinous act and violently shoot him 7 times, mostly in the back. I think you found pleasure in this act and commended yourself as a job completed. You took away the children's father, an honest, respectful, hardworking, and truthful man, qualities of which you are not, Tracey. You lied to me so many times before and after the shooting. You have a lot of repentance to do, both here on earth and spiritually. That's if you have a heart and a religious foundation to pull from. How low you have become to swap your family to take the life of a good man. Kate mistreated both Matt and his son Lucas, who is now 21 years old. And you know that to be true for Lucas. You have witnessed this fact. As far as Matt, Kate kept all that information from you. Lucas is still trying to manage the aftermath of losing his dad and best friend. He's been on a free fall of emotions since then, and we are the ones picking up the pieces to assist him. You just believed the lies and wanted to eliminate the only person who truly knew who you were and would not bow down to your tricks and devious behavior. Matt knew you were not to be trusted early on, as he discovered that you stole money from their wedding gifts, amongst other times too. Matt was aware of your evil, conniving ways, and he wanted no part of it to protect his family. Tracey, you lured him in anyway. Even your first husband, Stanley Ellis, days after Matt's death, called me and attested to your evil qualities. It did not surprise him that you were capable of such an act. Tracey, you don't know me and you don't know my family. The hurt you have given me is everlasting. Our family is changed forever in additional duties that a father, Matt, and a mother, Kate, should be doing. There are children at stake here, and you acted with no regard to their future with or without their mother and father. You did not care about the grandkids, how heartless you had become to put the grandkids in jeopardy. None of your involved family members have the quality worthy of raising these children, since so many of your children, 4 out of 7, were involved in the act to assist in eliminating Matt, whether they knew of the outcome or not, but they assisted. Tracey, how did you turn so evil? What kind of family were you raised in? It certainly was not a loving, caring, truthful, respectful, and spiritually grounded to protect human life. Tracey, you did not know how hard Matt worked to support his family. Your daughter, Kate, sucked the life out of Matt. And yet he still persevered because he loved his family and he wanted it all to work out. You were not a comfort to the family, but an adversary. You wanted to hear the lies and stories concocted by Kate, and some of them as noted in Discord group, the social media group, in her everyday drug-induced high to get your attention. You do not know or took how much time it took, and you don't even know Matt's real qualities. It doesn't matter anymore because you'll never know him. You were so blinded by Kate's and your daughter's lies, even they don't know the truth, but I do. Matt protected and supported Kate all the way to a fault, but now we know Kate's true wish was to eliminate Matt, find another man or men to support her, to work the guy financially dry, and keep the 2 younger children as the pawn for county sustenance and child support. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Tracey, does that sound familiar to you? Tracey, I do not know, nor do you know me. We were only acquaintances, but what I have been told directly by your family, as quoted by Tara Lynn, and this just happened recently, that you lied on the witness stand profusely, and that you, Tracey, tried to throw blame anywhere she thought it would stick. Tara Lynn continues to share via text hours, just hours after we returned from your trial, and she said about you, justice finally caught up with Tracey, and she's getting what she deserves. These are the text statements to myself and Mark from your daughter, Tara Lynn. Matt knew the truth all along and took a stand about the truth about you, Tracey. Your family failed to confront you with your lies and deceit of what you really did for a living and where the fund money came from. You bribed them to continue your hold on them. They were blinded by it all. It's not my place to judge you, nor should you have judged Matt, but I can condemn the actions that have affected my family. You made a horrendous mistake killing Matt. Everyone in your family should know that you have an evil streak. I fear that the apple does not far from the tree when it comes to your family members, and I am seeing the evidence of this. You sacrificed your own children, Kate, Kevin, and you allowed Carolyn and Rachel to participate as well. What mother does this to her children, sending them to perform an evil act? You and your involved family just covered up the murder by supporting the evil connection among the family members. Terry Lynn, your daughter, concocted emails for Kate to send to me, controlling the dialogue and making the cover-up after Matt's death. This was not just you murdering Matt. With the assistance of your 4 children, this plan worked. Your family has provided little or no support since Matt's death. They too have been heartless. I cannot imagine how Matt must have felt when the bullets were piercing into him and he felt extreme pain. I shudder the fact that he was hurt, dying, and scared. Your family provided no assistance at the scene and watched him die. How heartless and evil this act has been. You tracked him like an animal. You, Rachel, Tara Lynn, and Kevin tracked him to eliminate Matt, to save another heartless woman, Kate, who you knew was a whirlwind of chaos. Matt came to American Fort not knowing what was ahead of him. He came with a loving heart and to bring his family back home. You made the decision to kill him. Now you'll be in prison for a very long time, and whatever time you spend will never replace the residual damage that you have given to all of us. I doubt that you recognize this fact. It will be our cross to bear, and I will do it willingly to protect the children, provide a loving, healthy, and quality future for them. Just this past week, Shai had a lesson in gymnastics. And recently too, both were in pool activities, both Cheyenne and Steele. And yes, they are all pool safe, thanks to Uncle Mark and Aunt Kelly, and with many more summer camp activities already scheduled for them. It is now our duty to protect the children and ourselves from the abuse your family members have perpetrated. I only wish I could have protected Matt from the evil that he was thrown into. I know his lament and his struggles since he spoke to me almost every night. He always held your daughter Kate in good light, despite what we all know she could be. He never name-called her or belittled her like your family did in public. I know he was pushed to the brink by Kate, and his frustration was evident by the end of days. Kate did not care about Matt because she had already had an affair prior to coming to American Fork, and after she got here, she was dating men otherwise since then, even though she was still married to Matt. Matt was always faithful to Kate, and as evidence that Kate was not. Your daughter Kate betrayed me and now you. I only wish I could have prevented your final act of cruelty to Matt, me, and my family when you violently conspired to take his life. You have wounded my emotional heart, rocked it to the core, and now we're trying to pick up the pieces you have left behind with having no thought of the lasting damage that you have caused. We love the children and we'll oversee their health and well-being without their mom and dad. Tracey, like Matt, I've done nothing to you to deserve this extreme level of hurt. I have endured much in my career as a healthcare professional, but nothing has prepared me for this horrific journey that is underway. I grieve every day for the loss of Matt and the ongoing change we are all undertaking in raising Matt's children. You have no idea what it takes to deeply care for another, or you wouldn't have done this heinous act. Murdering my son was cold-blooded, for which you tried to cover up, lie about, and I have no words of remorse for you. This is your pattern. I hope the court maximizes all of your charges and sentencing so that Matt's children can grow up without your evil influence. Matt would want his children to have a happy, normal childhood among family members who love them. Their lives will be filled with joy, laughter, caring, learning, and respect for family and the legacy of their father. We will make a difference because we care and love them. We are protecting them so that they will know what family is built on: love, respect, hard work, support, and a commitment to shared family values and goals. Tracey, my family will accomplish this without you or any of your involved family members. I will never get to hear Matt's voice again or get his hugs. Tracey, you stripped me of Matt's presence. Matt's children will never experience the support of their father as they grow into adulthood. Still now 5 years old, has little or no memory of his father because he was just over 3 years old when his father was murdered by you. How unfair this is to Steele. The children always ask me weekly to tell them stories about their father, and I do. You have put my family on a roller coaster ride that no one should be on. The verdict is out. Your actions are not mistaken. Tracey, you are guilty of multiple offenses in the murder of Matt, and now you must serve the consequences. Tracey, you took a good man, Matt. You were blinded by the lies, and you left a hole in our hearts and daily lives. You have no idea the anguish you have caused by his senseless death that will echo in the lives of our family for generations to come. The ending of this saga is so, so very sad. Tracey, we are all wounded by your aggressive act of cruelty. However, the family will stand strong. We will get the job done, just like Matt would have done in protecting and providing for his children. I am sure Matt is pleased that we are caring for his children during these unspeakable times because we cherish and respect the word family, not unlike your family, Tracey, who you sacrificed for the sake of eliminating the truth. You made this happen, and now you must pay for this evil act, an action that should never have happened in the first place had you been grounded in family values and caring for human life. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Watabe, in your presentation, address the issue of restitution, and so that the record is clear, and so that Mr. Facemeyer has an opportunity to respond if he disagrees. For each count, make sure you indicate which you believe the accurate sentence that I can impose.
Sorry, I'm going to pull that up.
I mean, I've made notes to that, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
As far as the restitution, I believe this statute, has like a proximity or a nexus to the events that occurred. I think that the expenses for moving the children would fall under that nexus. And so I think the $2,500 would be warranted here, as well as obviously the funeral expenses of the $7,200 as well.
So the total of $9,700, correct?
Yeah, and I'd also ask just to leave it open as well. Should there be any kind of other costs that we haven't foreseen at this point, whether that be therapy or other things?
Right. Thank you. Mr. Facemeyer, does your client stipulate to that restitution amount joint and several, or do we need to have a hearing on that?
Joint and several, Judge.
Joint and several. Thank you.
I just like to add a few words, Your Honor.
Yeah, no, when you add those words, make sure you also, for each count, provide to me the presumptive sentence. I want to make sure I have it correct as well, and give Mr. Facemeyer an opportunity to respond if you believe it's an incorrect statement.
Okay. As to the murder of Matthew Ristelli, that's a first-degree felony. I believe that is 15 years to life. As to the conspiracy to commit murder, I believe that's a 1 to 15. And then the obstruction of justice is a 1 to 15, and the domestic violence in the presence of a child is 0 to 5 on each count.
Do you concur with that, Mr. Facemeyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. What else would you like me to know?
Your Honor, I mean, this really is a senseless murder. It should never have occurred. Seems pretty clear it was actually never really about divorce. Both Kate and Kevin went to Tracey separately, questioning whether they should do this, and, expressed hesitancy to her. And she told each of them separately that she didn't care, that she was going to go ahead and do it anyways. It's pretty clear she didn't care about what happened to Matt. She didn't care about what happened to Matt's kids, her grandkids. She didn't care, think about what possibly might even happen to Kate and Kevin. It was always only about Tracey. There was no other reason for this murder other than Tracey's sole desire to commit a murder. And when you think about what Tracey put Matt through, luring him into the house, Matthew getting shot as he enters the house, and Tracey and Kevin watching Matt die on the floor, crying out in pain as he bleeds to death, with his children just feet from where he is. And then when she's sure that Matthew's dead, she plants a knife in his hand, and then she calls the police. She lies to them, when she said Matt brought a knife into the house. She lies when she said Matt needs an ambulance. And she lies when she says Matt is still breathing. Those actions are disgusting and they're morally reprehensible. Defendant is not a person that can ever be rehabilitated. She's caused generational damage, not only to the Ristelli family, to Matthew's children, but her own family as well. She should never be released from prison for taking Matt's life. She continues to pose a danger to society. And honestly, for the amount of destruction that she caused and that she's left these survivors to pick up the pieces, I would ask you to find her to sentence her to all of her charges consecutively.
Thank you. Mr. Facemeyer, anything in rebuttal?
No, Your Honor, we'll submit.
Did your client wish to address the court formally?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. I've got some notes that I want to go through, everybody. I appreciate the eloquent statements from Mr. Ristelli's brother and mother. The question before the court is not whether I should sentence you, Ms. Grist, to prison, but whether I should run all or a portion of your charges consecutively or concurrently. Under Utah Code Section 76-3-401, I need to consider several factors when I make that decision. These factors would include, have you been found guilty of more than one felony offense? The answer to that is yes, you're convicted of 5 felonies. I need to look at the gravity and the circumstances of the offenses you were convicted of. In considering this factor, the evidence clearly established, as the jury found, that you were the mastermind behind a plot to kill your son-in-law simply because your daughter did not want to return to California for divorce proceedings. Further, the gravity of your actions cannot be overstated. You were clearly the mastermind in a plot that led to your son-in-law's death, a man who simply thought he was coming to Utah to pick up his wife and children. Aggravating his senseless death was the plot you helped develop to try and make it appear that he was dangerous. He wasn't dangerous. It was your daughter that was convicted of domestic violence, not him. You helped develop a plan with a weapon, and that weapon was not just the firearm that you owned, the 6-hour P365, but a knife that you had apparently taken from a friend of yours in California and brought to Utah to use in a senseless murder. Your actions essentially left your grandchildren as orphans, 2 of your grandchildren as orphans, 2 very young children who are now 5 and 8, who lost their father based upon what I can only find is one of the most senseless crimes I've ever seen in the over 30 years I've been a member of the Utah State Bar and the 12 years I've been a judge. Not only will these children never see their father again, they'll never see their mother again. And that is rightfully so as it pertains to the mother who participated in this plot. You have sentenced your grandchildren and Lucas and Matt's brothers and mother to living a life without their father, their brother, their son. You've sentenced your grandchildren to knowing that their grandmother, their mother, and their uncle deliberately plotted to and successfully killed their father. The negative impact on their lives cannot be overstated. The victim impact statements that we have heard today and that I've read today also clearly detail the impact of your actions on other members of your son-in-law's family. As was stated today, a grandmother is to protect her grandchildren. You did anything but protect them. For somebody that's gone through multiple divorces, it is incomprehensible to this court how and why you didn't counsel your daughter to proceed forth a divorce rather than proceeding forward to a path of murder. So the record is clear. We have as your victims, obviously, Matt Ristelli, your 2 young grandchildren, Lucas, your son-in-law's mother, Diane, and his 2 brothers, Paul and Jonathan, and their extended families. Your pre-sentence report shows you have 9 prior convictions. They clearly show you're someone who's experienced with the criminal justice system. When I consider your rehabilitative needs, I find that your danger to the community exceeds any rehabilitative needs that may be available. In this court's view, if you're so callous and uncaring as to plot the death of your son-in-law simply because your daughter did not want apparently to deal with the divorce courts in California, the court has grave concerns that if you were ever released back into the community, that you would take similar actions against those who testified against you in trial or other family members or members of our community for equally baseless reasons that they simply crossed you. Put another way, in the court's view, you're incredibly dangerous and your character and actions show that any rehabilitative needs are overcome by your willingness to kill simply for you or your children's convenience. I was especially troubled by your denial in the pre-sentence report of your role in this murder. On page 7 of the pre-sentence report, though, we clearly see how carefully you worked in plotting the murder of Matthew Rastelli. Your internet history, as you well know, shows that on or about June 7th, 2024, you did a search as to, quote, how old were Dan Marco's kids when Dan was killed, and Katie Magbanua's second trial defense charts. On June 16th, 2024, you did a research on the internet for Utah shoot break-in. June 27th, you did search for the American Fork City Cemetery, and on June 28th, the Alpine City Cemetery. Those alone show your ties into this murder plot, but the evidence that the court received in trial, viewed in trial, clearly shows that you are the mastermind behind the murder of your son-in-law. With all these factors and the evidence of what occurred in this case, I find it appropriate that the appropriate sentence to impose is the maximum sentence that I am allowed by law for each count. Therefore, for count 1, criminal conspiracy, a second-degree felony, I sentence you to 1 to 15 years in Utah State Prison. For count 2, murder, first-degree felony, I sentence you to the maximum term that I am allowed to impose by law of 15 years to life. For count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony, I once again sentence you to the maximum term I'm allowed to impose by law of 1 to 15 years in prison. For count 4, domestic violence in the presence of a child, the maximum term that I can sentence you to is 0 to 5 years, and I do that. For count 5, domestic violence in the presence of a child, once again, a second count for that, I order you to serve 0 to 5 years in the Utah State Prison. Based upon the factors that I have briefly gone over and the factors that I have read and heard in the victim impact statements, they clearly overcome any letters that I've received and read on your behalf. And I find that it is appropriate that each and every count shall run consecutive to each other. Additional sentencing orders. I'm issuing a continuous protective order. You're to have absolutely no contact, directly or indirectly, with your grandchildren. Mr. Facemeyer, do you accept service of the protective order, or do you wish to have her served at the prison?
I accept service, Judge.
Thank you. I waive the fine as I fully anticipate that you will never be released from prison while you are alive. However, I am imposing a $53 court security fee for each count as required by statute. You'll have to pay that off through your prison commissary or your prison fund benefits. You're also not to have any contact with your co-conspirators, your children, unless allowed by the prison or the state parole board. As required by law, I note that you were given credit for the time you have served towards your sentence since your arrest. Pursuant to the stipulation, I order you to pay restitution amount of $9,700 that will be joint and several. And I'll also hold it open for such future needs that we might have, such as therapy for the children. The court's sentencing minutes that will be sent to the parole board should indicate that this court recommends that you never be considered for parole. In this court's estimation, the evidence from trial clearly has established that you are incredibly dangerous and that the community will never be safe if you are released back into it. That being said, and for your victim's family, I wish them to understand that I have imposed what we call in Utah indeterminate sentences. The state parole board will make the ultimate determination if you'll ever have parole, under what terms and circumstances, and when it shall be. I have run each count consecutive to each other in an effort to show to the parole board how grave I consider your actions are and that you should not be considered for parole, but that'll be up to them. To the victim's family, you will need to talk to the victim's advocate for Utah County. You do have the right to appear at any parole hearing if there's ever one that is determined by the parole board to be appropriate. And any questions regarding that process, they can answer for you. This will be the final order of the court. You have 30 days to appeal this decision of the court and the jury. If you qualify and request the same, a public defender will be appointed to assist you in your appeal. Any questions, Mr. Facemeyer?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Watabe, any questions on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We'll be in recess.
All right.
I don't know what she got. She got like LWAP times 5 or something. I don't know. Whatever she got, it is long. It's gonna be a long day, baby. Oh my goodness, that mom's victim impact statement is so the bomb. She did that. She did her so wrong. You know, Tracey on the phone trying to act like, you know, Matt just walked in there. Like, it was just so vile and so disgusting. And it also leads me to believe, like, I'm thinking to myself, well, she mentioned all these 4 other kids, remember? And remember, they had immunity. I don't know if y'all remember that. Yeah, they had immunity deals. So I think it's because of their involvement, you know, putting the tracker on his car. The only person's name that I can think of offhand is Tara Lynn, but everybody else, you know, the one sister who did testify. But yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know if any other charges come out of this or what happens, but unfortunately, I know Tara Lynn, you know, she was supposed to come on and answer questions and different things like that, and she couldn't do it because they she didn't know that it would be a contract violation because they doing some kind of document, you know, they want to do a show. I don't know, I guess they want to do Netflix or one of these shows. I would be surprised if they do that without doing the the Adelsons, like the real deal. No, do the real deal. But yeah, so we have had our sentencing Sunday. I am going to play our WAP song, but ooh, isn't that something? Oh, that mama statement, boy, oh boy. I'm so glad we watched this because I didn't even know the mom had spoke. And I found it was funny because when I was looking at Court TV, like summarizing it, when I read it to y'all, like, well, the mama didn't speak this time, but I'm so glad she did. Oh, wow. I'm so glad we watched this because I appreciate that she got it off her chest about this old vile woman over there. So foul. And then all that looking up how Dan Markey, I don't know why she thought she was going to get away with this, but she definitely did. So there we are. Yeah, she definitely was a Donna wannabe, and that's why she was looking everything up. Oh, silly self. But I guess that is what it is. It is what it is. I wonder how much. I don't know how much time. I wonder how much time Katie. How much time does she? I think she go up for parole. I have to look at her time and see, because I know she has sentencing, but I think that she testified against her mom. She testified against her brother. And I thought that was in regards to getting some kind of leniency in her sentencing or when she goes to the parole board. Don't quote me on that. I have to look that up. But we completed our Sunday sentencing. That's all I have for you guys. That way we didn't have to do it during the week. We do have our 2 trials that we're going back into tomorrow. We have our boat trial, and then we have our military murder trial. So if you have not caught up on the testimony in those 2 trials, please go look at the page and go ahead and look and try to catch up. I've been trying to make some clips of the most important testimony to kind of break it down for you guys. Okay, 1 to 15, minimum of 6 years to life. Yeah, I thought she got some kind of like little sweet deal or some mess that she can get out really, really fast. I hope that's not the case for her, but who knows? Oh, anytime, guys. Don't forget that we got a date with our trivia tonight. It starts at 4:30. I don't know. But I'm gonna put the link in the chat and y'all just go over there and hit the notification bell so that way it can tell you. I'm sure it's 4:30, right? Therapist is 4:30. I think it's 4:30 my time. I don't know. I can't never get all these times together. But oh, no problem. And we'll be back in here tomorrow. So make sure you got your notification bell on. I'm going to go ahead and put the things out there now for tomorrow. We do have some updates in regards to the Fulio saga debacle of a mess. So I was thinking about maybe doing that. I don't know. Let me see. Their sentencing is on the 22nd. So maybe we'll talk more about that on the maybe the 21st. Because everybody asking for an appeal, and I just really need y'all to see why they asking for these appeals. Even though everybody asks for appeals, but it is hilarious to me why they ask. So we'll get into that and look at that. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you all for hanging in here with me. Shout out to the mod, shout out to the chat, shout out to all the new subs, the new subscribers. If you are on the replay crew, please just drop something in there. Let me know that you're on the replay crew. I truly appreciate you guys. And we will be back in court tomorrow. We will do our L-Wop Bop song. But she got an L-Y bop, 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 and another bop.
Cameras on, folks all whispering won't be long. No more smirks and no more lies. Judge looked down with narrowed eyes. Bailiff waiting by the side door. Steel-toed footsteps on the courtroom floor. Whole track buzzing like the verdict dropped, but the jury room still got them locked. L-wop-bop-bop, hear the cell doors lock. No parole board, baby, round the clock. One-way trip and the bus won't stop. Everybody clap to the L-wop-bop, L-wop-bop-bop. No appeal gonna save you. Orange jumpsuit, tailor-made flavor. Sink that feeling when the gavel drop. That's the rhythm of the L-wop-bop. That's the rhythm of the L-wop-bop. Mama crying in the second row. Defense still talking, but it's moving slow. State brought receipts and the pressure's steep. Now the whole room barely even breathes. Used to talk big for the TV lights. Now it's long breaks and uneasy nights. Funny how the swagger disappeared before a single word got cleared. L-wop-bop-bop, hear the cell doors lock. No parole board, baby, round the clock. One-way trip and the bus won't stop. Everybody clap to the L-wop-bop, L-wop-bop-bop. No appeal gonna save you. Orange jumpsuit, tailor-made flavor. Sink that feeling when the gavel drop. That's the rhythm of the L-wop-bop. The L-wop-bop. That's the rhythm of the L-wop-bop. Case pause, courtroom tense. Everybody
All right, guys, have a wonderful. You say, are you guys on later? What you mean? I don't know. Hit me on Discord. I don't plan on doing anything later except for probably a 10 Chronicle, but that's like 10, 15 minutes. And I guess it just depends on, I don't have a particular time, but it'll be sometime after trivia time. Yes, everybody enjoy the rest of their Sunday. I will see you guys at trivia. Yeah, trivia in about an hour, a little bit over an hour. Yeah. All right, guys. See you later. Thanks. Peace. I just